occasion. And, KD is no different than LeBron in that regard. And, the reality of it is both those guys work extremely hard on their game. And, a lot of people kind of look at LeBron and they kind of take his size and strength and athleticism for granted. They don't understand how hard he works. He works extremely hard. And, I believe that the older he's gotten, the more he's worked, or that's the harder he's worked, because he knows that.
Mike Brown just did something nobody saw coming. The respected NBA coach, who's worked alongside both LeBron James and Kevin Durant, went on record with statements that have the basketball world in absolute chaos. He didn't hold back. He didn't sugarcoat it. And what he revealed about these two legends and how it all ties back to Michael Jordan might change how you see the GOAT debate forever. Because when a coach who's been in the trenches with these superstars finally speaks his truth, you better believe it's going to shake the foundation of everything we thought we knew. This isn't just drama. This is a reckoning.
Yeah.
That at time would say, "Fuck the team, I got you."
And who can get you and carry?
Yeah.
Then you go with those guys.
So tell me now, wasn't that an interesting statement from a guy that coached LeBron James for 5 seasons? And yes, I can understand that LeBron James was very young then at the beginning of his career, but his overall...
Mike Brown isn't some talking head looking for clicks. This is a man who stood on the sidelines during LeBron's first championship runs in Cleveland, a coach who watched Kevin Durant dominate from an insider's perspective. He's been in those locker rooms. He's heard the private conversations. He's seen what the cameras don't show. And in January 2025, he decided it was time to speak. Now, you might be wondering, why now? What happened that made Mike Brown, a guy known for keeping things professional, suddenly go public with information that could burn bridges with two of the biggest names in basketball? Well, it all started with a question. A simple question during a recent private event that wasn't supposed to make it to the media, but it did. And what Brown said in response has sent shockwaves through the NBA community. The question was straightforward. Coach, you've worked with LeBron and KD. Where do they rank compared to Michael Jordan? Most coaches would dance around it, give some politically correct answer about different eras, different styles, different circumstances. But Mike Brown? He looked the person dead in the eye and said something that nobody expected, something that has fans divided, players talking, and the basketball world questioning everything. He said that both LeBron and KD have disrespected what Michael Jordan built, and he was about to explain exactly how.
You know what? And I understood because I was a witness. No pun intended. I was a witness, no pun intended. You were like, I believe that right there, after we won championship, made me the greatest because you had done something that had never been done before. I watched it and I was like, kind of like, not the Channing Jordan, it wasn't that, but I was like, ooh, our guy's got a lot of haters that are gonna use this against him. And so the same moment, now your 4th championship, and that same opportunity was given.
Let's start with LeBron, the king, the chosen one, the man who's been compared to Jordan since he was 17 years old. Mike Brown coached LeBron during some of the most important years of his career. He saw the greatness, he witnessed the evolution, but he also saw something else, something that, according to Brown, proves LeBron will never touch Jordan's throne. In that same private conversation, Brown revealed that LeBron's approach to legacy has always been calculated, too calculated. He described moments in Cleveland where LeBron would openly talk about building his brand and controlling the narrative. Brown said, and these are words that are now circulating through insider circles, LeBron wants to be the GOAT, but he wants everyone to agree with him first. Michael didn't care about agreement, he just dominated and let the world catch up. That's a massive statement, because what Brown is essentially saying is that LeBron's obsession with public perception, with being liked, with curating his image, it all works against him in the GOAT conversation. Michael Jordan didn't ask for permission to be great. He didn't build super teams and then ask if it counted. He didn't leave his team twice to chase rings and then demand respect for it. Brown went even further. He talked about specific practices in Cleveland where LeBron would defer in crucial moments during scrimmages, moments where the team needed him to take over, and instead, he'd pass to role players. Brown said he'd pull LeBron aside and say, "You're the best player on this floor. Act like it." And LeBron's response? According to Brown, it was always some version of, "I want everyone to eat." Now, on the surface, that sounds noble, team-first mentality, right? But Brown's point cuts deeper. He said Michael Jordan made sure everyone ate after he took his portion. LeBron wants to share the meal before he's even proven he's the chef. That's the difference. That's why one is the GOAT and the other is still trying to convince people. Imagine being in those practices. Imagine seeing the greatest player of this generation hold back because he's worried about how it looks. That's what Mike Brown is saying he witnessed. And if that's true, it changes everything. But Brown wasn't done, because he had even more to say about Kevin Durant.
Most part, I always side with athletes who do what they want to do and what they feel is best for them. But at the same time, I do understand that it is somewhat Judas-like to leave a team that embraced you for a team that you couldn't beat. But clearly, athletes get it. It's business. It's not personal, as we saw on Wednesday when KD, Steph, and Draymond all had love for each other. But if you ever thought that maybe KD would have stayed in OKC if the Thunder hadn't blown a 3-1 lead in the
Kevin Durant, one of the most talented scorers the game has ever seen, a player who can hit shots that seem impossible. But according to Mike Brown, KD has a fatal flaw that disqualifies him from ever being mentioned in the same breath as Michael Jordan. Brown worked with Durant as an assistant coach, and what he saw during that time apparently left a lasting impression. In the same conversation where he went off about LeBron, Brown shifted his focus to KD and dropped this bomb. Kevin is the most insecure superstar I've ever been around, and I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as a fact. The man is obsessed with what people think. He'll go on burner accounts to defend himself. He'll snap at fans on social media. He needs validation in a way that I've never seen from a player of his caliber. Now, we all know about KD's Twitter antics. We've all seen the burner account drama. But hearing it from a coach who worked with him, that hits different. Because Brown isn't some random analyst. He was in the building. He saw the day-to-day reality of who Kevin Durant is when the cameras are off. But here's where it gets really controversial. Brown revealed that Durant would frequently bring up Michael Jordan in private conversations, not to praise him, but to diminish him. According to Brown, KD would say things like, "If I played in the 90s with those rules, I'd average 40 a night easy," or "MJ had Pippen, I'm doing this with way less help." Brown said he'd hear this and just shake his head, because in his words, KD doesn't realize that the reason MJ is MJ isn't just talent, it's the killer instinct, it's the refusal to join your enemies. Michael beat the best teams, he didn't join them. Kevin ran to a 73-win team after they beat him, and then he has the audacity to compare himself to Jordan? That's disrespect. That's straight-up disrespect. Let that sink in. A coach who worked with KD is publicly saying that Durant's decision to join the team that eliminated him is the single biggest reason he'll never be in the GOAT conversation. And the fact that KD would privately trash Jordan while benefiting from a system that Jordan never needed, Brown sees that as the ultimate act of disrespect. But it gets even deeper. Brown hinted that Durant knew his championships wouldn't carry the same weight. He said KD would joke about it, saying things like, "Rings are rings," but deep down you could see it bothered him. Brown said, "Kevin wants to be seen as great, but he doesn't want to do the hard work of earning it the hard way. That's not MJ. That's not Kobe. That's something else." And now the question is, how did this all tie back to the ultimate disrespect toward Michael Jordan? Here's where Mike Brown really lit the fuse. Because it wasn't just about individual flaws or career decisions. Brown made it clear that both LeBron and KD represent a generation that fundamentally misunderstands what made Michael Jordan untouchable. Brown explained it like this: These guys today, they want the throne without the battle. They want to be called the GOAT without the pain that comes with it. Michael Jordan didn't team up with Magic and Bird. He didn't leave Chicago because the front office wasn't perfect. He stayed, he suffered, he dominated. And when he won, nobody questioned it. Nobody. He continued, LeBron and KD, they've both said slick things about MJ over the years. Little comments here and there about how the league is tougher now, how defenses are more complex, how they'd cook in the 90s. But they don't get it. MJ played in an era where physicality was allowed, where rivalries were real, where you couldn't just call your opponent in the offseason and plan to team up. They disrespect that era because they know they couldn't survive it. Brown then brought up something that has fans absolutely losing their minds. He claimed that during a team meeting in 2024, yes, just last year, one of these superstars, he wouldn't say who, but context clues point to LeBron, made a comment about how Jordan benefited from nostalgia, and that if people really broke down the film, they'd see he wasn't as dominant as the myth suggests. Brown said the room went silent because even the younger players knew that was crossing a line. And Brown, he said he spoke up immediately. I told him right there, don't ever disrespect the man who paved the road you're driving on. Without MJ, there is no LeBron James mega contract. There is no global NBA brand. There is no blueprint for greatness. Show some respect. The disrespect, according to Brown, isn't just about stats or rings. It's about attitude. It's about the refusal to acknowledge that Jordan did it in a way that can't be replicated. He didn't need social media to control his image. He didn't need to team up with rivals. He didn't need validation from fans. He just won, over and over and over again. And for Brown, watching LeBron and KD try to rewrite history while subtly tearing down Jordan, that was the final straw. Within hours of Brown's comments spreading through insider channels, the basketball world erupted. Group chats lit up, podcasts scrambled to cover it, former players started choosing sides, and the fans went absolutely nuclear. On one side, you had the LeBron loyalists, calling Mike Brown a bitter ex-coach who's salty that LeBron moved on from Cleveland. They pointed to LeBron's 4 championships, his longevity, his all-around game. They said Brown was trying to stay relevant by stirring up controversy. On the other side, you had the Jordan purists who treated Brown's comments like gospel. They'd been saying this for years, that LeBron's super team era cheapened his legacy, that KD's move to the Warriors was the weakest move in sports history, and that neither of them have the mental fortitude that Jordan had. To them, Brown was just confirming what they already knew. But here's what made this even more explosive. Some current players started weighing in. Anonymously, of course, because nobody wants to publicly go to war with LeBron or KD. But according to sources close to several teams, locker room conversations have been dominated by this topic, and the consensus among a lot of younger players, they actually agree with Mike Brown. One unnamed player was quoted as saying, "We all know the truth, we just can't say it out loud. LeBron and KD are legends, but they're not Mike, and deep down, they know it too." That's devastating, because if the current generation of players, the ones who grew up idolizing LeBron, are starting to side with the old heads on this, it means the narrative is shifting. It means Brown's comments hit a nerve that's been raw for years. And then there's the social media chaos. Hashtags like Mike knows and respect MJ started trending. Fans dug up old clips of LeBron and KD making slick comments about Jordan. Compilation videos comparing Jordan's finals performances to LeBron's started racking up millions of views. The debate that never really went away came roaring back with a vengeance. But here's the kicker. Mike Brown isn't backing down. When asked for clarification by a reporter who caught him outside a private event, Brown doubled down. He said, "I said what I said, and I meant every word. People can be mad all they want, but the truth is the truth. Michael Jordan is the greatest to ever do it, and nobody, not LeBron, not KD, not anyone, has done what he did the way he did it." That's a coach willing to burn bridges for the sake of honesty. And in today's NBA, where everyone is so careful with their words, that's rare, that's powerful, and that's why this story isn't going away anytime soon.
So what's the real takeaway here? What is Mike Brown actually trying to say beneath all the controversy and all the headlines? It's simple. Greatness isn't just about talent. It's not just about championships or stats or highlight reels. Greatness is about how you carry yourself when the world is watching. It's about the choices you make when legacy is on the line. And according to Brown, that's where LeBron and KD fall short. Michael Jordan never needed to convince anyone he was the best. He just was. He didn't form super teams in their prime. He didn't hop on podcasts to explain his decisions. He didn't engage with fans on Twitter to defend his career. He played, he won, and he left a legacy so untouchable that 20-plus years later, we're still comparing everyone to him. LeBron and KD, they're incredible players, all-time greats without question, but the way they've navigated their careers, the team hopping, the narrative control, the constant need for validation, it's created a ceiling they can't break through. And Brown is saying that ceiling exists because they built it themselves. The disrespect toward Jordan, whether intentional or not, comes from a place of insecurity. It comes from knowing that no matter how many points they score or how many rings they collect, the throne already has someone sitting on it, and that person isn't moving. Brown's final point, the one that's echoing in the minds of fans and players alike, is this: you can't rewrite history to make yourself the hero. Michael Jordan already wrote that story, and it's perfect the way it is. Mike Brown just said what a lot of people have been thinking, but were too afraid to say out loud. LeBron and KD are legends, but the way they've approached their legacies in the subtle shots they've taken at Michael Jordan reveals a deeper truth about who they are versus who MJ was. This conversation is far from over. The reactions are still pouring in, and the divide between fans has never been wider. So here's the question I'll leave you with. Do you think Mike Brown crossed the line, or did he just speak the uncomfortable truth that the basketball world needed to hear? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the drama, the controversies, and the stories the mainstream media won't touch, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because trust me, this is just the beginning.